Good day, this is Dr. Jana Price-Sharps from Mind Pilot. Have you ever just felt like your brain was stuck? Maybe you're ruminating about something that's happened. Maybe you're feeling bad about something that's happened, but your brain just stays on it. And no matter what you do, it just keeps going back to that. Has that ever happened to you? Well, there are certain things that you can do to get it unstuck. But one of the most effective ways that I have found as a clinician to help people get unstuck is visualization. And you can create your own visualizations. I think we've had a podcast about that. But you might want to think about what you want to accomplish with the visualization and how you want to get yourself unstuck. So I've invited Dr. Matthew Sharps back to talk a little bit about why visualizations are so very useful and can be used to move the brain forward. Thank you for coming again, Dr. Sharps.
Thank you.
So why are visualizations powerful?
Well, there's a variety of reasons for that, but one of the most important is that they dramatically increase the depth of processing about whatever you're dealing with. Now, first of all, if you're trying to visualize a situation, really trying, you're going to be seeing its features, the various aspects of the situation, and not so much separately from each other, but you're not just thinking of an overall gestalt pattern, okay? You're actually having to think of the elements. But the question really is, how are you thinking of the elements? And that goes back to the work of a psychologist named Pavio, right? We know that a picture, all of the things being equal, a picture tends to be more memorable than a word. Now, why would that be? Well, suppose I say the word elephant, okay? Well, you probably immediately create a kind of half-baked image of an elephant in your head without even really noticing it. But then if I start asking you questions about the elephant that you've created in your head, you're not going to be able to answer them. If I say, is it an Indian elephant or an African elephant? Does it have tusks or not? Okay, it has tusks. Well, what color are they? Are they yellow or white? At that point, people are just going to start getting irritated. Well, hell, I don't know. It's just an elephant, okay? But in other words, elephant, the word elephant, is just kind of a category indicator. We don't know if I'm talking about an Indian elephant, an African elephant, a wild elephant, a zoo elephant, maybe a toy elephant you had as a child, okay? But suppose instead, and this is the basis of what's called dual coding theory, suppose instead I show you a picture of an elephant. Now, I don't have to write the word elephant on him, do I? Because you already know it's an elephant. You've already got the verbal code we just talked about, right? But now you have the picture too. You have the image. And now you've got this specific elephant, okay, with his grayness, his earness, his tuskiness, et cetera, et cetera. If you know your elephants, you can immediately know if it's an Indian or it's an Asian elephant or an African elephant. You can immediately know whether it has tusks or not, the tusk yellow or whatever. The image gives you two codes, both the verbal code, because you know it's an elephant, and the code, the pictorial code, that gives you all these features, this shade of gray, this size of ears, and so on. Now, this idea is further substantiated by the fact that people remember a picture of an elephant, a whole list of pictures of different things. They remember the pictures better than they do the words. But when you look at the words, people, all other things being equal, will remember a word like elephant much better than they will remember a word like promise or abstract. The reason for that is that even though we haven't shown you a picture of an elephant, you generate a kind of half-baked one, and it might be an elephant you've seen, it might be a sort of an elephant you've seen in a cartoon, it might be an image of a toy elephant you had as a child. It doesn't matter. You've got an image. If I say the word promise or the word abstraction, you don't have any image at all. So imagery is the key here. It's what makes the visualization more powerful, because as it becomes more memorable, right, visualized things, imageric things, more memorable, all of the things being equal than verbal things. Obviously, a horror story, you may remember that more than you would an image of your shopping list, okay? All of the things being equal, images are more memorable. That means the traces are stronger. That means they're easier to work with in the mind.
That is why visualization can be such an important tool for you. And we use a lot of visualizations on this podcast. So I hope maybe you consider going back and listening to some of those visualizations. But let's talk about how you might create your own visualization. So we did a podcast on, you have a gestalt that every time you come home, your belief system, your habit of mind tells you that it's going to be bad. You're going to get in an argument with your wife. Well, you can do some things to begin to change that and shift that. And we talked about that in the other podcast. But the other thing that you can do is you can visualize yourself coming home and feeling really excited to be there, happy to see your spouse, happy to see your kids if you have them, happy to see your pets if you have them, but just happy to be at home. And the more you visualize something like that, the more it's going to shift how you feel when you walk into your house. And so if you walk in and you're in a good mood and you're excited to be there, it may not work the first time because maybe your spouse also has a gestalt about every time, my husband or wife comes home from work, they're always in a bad mood. But over time, if you're always coming home in a good mood, it's also going to shift their habit of mind, their belief about this situation as well. So visualizations kind of help your brain create a new gestalt, a new way of looking at a situation that is healthier or happier or more beneficial. So if you want to create a visualization, be as detailed as you can. So you want to create a visualization where you're wearing what you typically wear when you come home. You are seeing all the different details of where you live. It could be the stairs going up to your house. It could be your driveway. It could be where you park your car. Make it very detailed, because the more detailed you make it, the more the brain is going to accept it as reality. Does that make sense, Dr. Sharps?
Yeah, I certainly think so. Absolutely.
Okay. So from that vantage point, will that begin to help break down that gestalt of every time I come home, things are not going to go well?
Well, theoretically it should, provided it's applied properly, because these things are kind of difficult to do. If you're going to create these visualizations, people are differentially good or bad at visualizing things. Well, as far as we can tell, people get better at such things as they practice them. But it is relatively effortful. And that's why a lot of people, I think, will, and I have no data on this, but just from talking to people will sort of slide away from that. There's a funny thing about us as human beings. We decide, okay, I'm now going to do something for my health. And then the fact that we've decided to do something means we must have done it, and therefore we don't wind up doing it. We have to actually go through the proper steps. But the simple fact is that images, pictures in the mind, okay, you have pictures in the outside world. The picture in the mind is an image. Images do have relative power. Okay, Pavio demonstrated that I forget exactly, but about 50 odd years ago, that the image is more memorable than the word, all other things being equal. And the concrete word, like elephant, is more memorable than the abstract word, like abstraction. Okay? And therefore, you're going to increase your depth of processing. But it's not an automatic process in terms of the use of images. And it's not going to feel entirely comfortable, I suspect, because it does require mental effort to actually do this.
So if you're going to use visualizations to be able to shift behavior or feelings, it's important to kind of make a schedule to do that. In other words, okay, what kind of behavior or what context am I wanting to shift? Okay, when am I going to create that visualization? Probably not when you're angry, probably not when you're at work and it's very chaotic. You want to do it at a time where things are calm, you have a little bit of downtime, nobody's going to interrupt this process of you developing this visualization. But a lot of visualizations can be like 3 to 7 minutes long. They don't have to be very long, but you really have to think about what it is that you want. What do you want to accomplish with this visualization? Do you want to get over an argument that you've been in? Do you want to be able to move on from something that's happened in your life? What do you want to accomplish? And then try a visualization. Maybe you try and shift it from thinking about this to shifting to something much happier. And a lot of times the brain will begin to let go. It helps break that down. So, but you have to do it when you're calm.
I think one important point, and you could probably speak to this a lot better than I can, is that if there's a lot of trauma, the individual may want to have their visualizations assisted by a professional, but it can't just be any professional with a degree on the wall. It has to be somebody who really understands the first response world. Okay? Because if you get intrusions as you're starting from serious trauma with the visualizations, that can cause a bit of a problem. It can cause people to stop using the technique. So that kind of professional guidance, and you might want to speak to this in a manner that I really can't, that kind of professional guidance I think could be very helpful.
Absolutely. So for the really basic visualizations where you're calming your system down, you're shifting from ruminating about something that's irritating you to a happier thought process, those are typically easy to do. But if you shut your eyes and you're immediately seeing old almost videos of things that you've been through that have been horrific, then yes, work with a competent therapist to develop visualizations that will help you heal. So it's two different things, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Sharps. So thank you for joining us today. I hope this was helpful. This is Dr. Jana Price-Sharps with Mind Pilot.